Thank you. Yeah. Hey, Hal.
What are you doing?
What up, Marcy?
Welcome to the October 17th meeting of the El Paso County Planning Commission. I'm Tom Bailey, your chair, and if I can find my agenda, we will get started. My first order of business is to name and appoint the voting members at today's hearing. Grab a pen. I was ready. I have it. I just went down there. Okay, so to begin with, voting members today, we have Ms. Jack, we have Mr. Whitney, we have Ms. Fuller, Mr. Carlson, and we have Mr. Markowicz. Those will be the voting members along with the chair. So we will have 6, if I can count. There we go. A little bit of news. The final regular member appointment has been made. The Board of County Commissioners brought Eric Moraes back, so he will be here at next meeting. He had a trip, so he's out of town, but he said he'll be here the first meeting in November, so we can look forward to that. There are still a couple of associate member positions that are open, and they've been advertised, and so we're taking applications for those. So we have the full slate of 9 regular members, and could potentially have a few more associate members here in the future. Okay, so after that, I think I didn't misspeak, but I'll turn it over to Ms. Harrington or Mr. Kilgore if the planning department has any items for us this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Megan Harrington, Planning Director. No, you stated all of the updates that we really have for you. The only other item I would add is that the Land Development Code Working Group meets on Monday, and it's the second meeting where they're starting to talk about zone districts, and you do have 2 members that you have asked to sit on that working group meeting, and so that does occur on Monday, and so I'd expect that they will have an update for you, and I've just asked Justin if he has anything else he'd like to add. Thank you.
I just have a reminder, sir. So we have a meeting on November 7th, November 21st, December 5th, and December 19th. And I have items scheduled on all of those meetings for y'all. So I know the holidays are coming up. If everyone would just keep in touch with the clerk, and that way we can make sure we have a quorum. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I hope to see as many of you there as possible. I think I have successfully scheduled my travel around those times, telling you just how important this is to me. But okay, next on our agenda, we always leave time for public comment for items that are not on our agenda. So I will now ask if there's anyone in the audience who would like to address the commission on any items that are not on today's agenda. See anything? Ms. Benson, do we have anybody waiting online for us?
Not for this item, but we do have somebody online to speak on PUD SP 229.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll get to that here in a moment. With no public comment, we'll move right on then into our agenda. First item, item number 3A is the adoption of our minutes. Commissioners have all had a chance to read those minutes. Any questions, corrections? As usual, a fine job. Thank you very much. We will deem those minutes approved as presented by staff. Thank you. Item 3B, file number P2223 is a map amendment rezone for Settlers Ranch. This is the RR 2.5 rezone. We have both the rezone and the final plat today for Settlers Ranch. Do any of the commissioners have questions for staff or would like to have that heard as a regular item? Is there anyone in the audience here other than the applicant who's here to speak on these items? I did have a question, so if I could have Ms. Parsons come up and give us a little bit of an overview. Just geographically, there was reference in one of the comments, the public comments back on this about a conservation easement adjacent to this development. And I just wanted to see where that is. Specifically, I think the question had to do with buffering, and I think that the conservation easement itself essentially serves as that buffer, but I'd like to see for sure where that is. So, Ms. Parsons, thank you.
Sorry, it looks like my slide got jumbled. I apologize for that. This is this northern portion of the site here, and then the southern portion of the site here with Settlers Ranch Road being platted so that the two portions are connected with the final plat. The northern portion of the site is the area that is requested to be rezoned. The conservation easements, one of them is across Stepler Road, and it is highlighted in this grayish area. And then there is a conservation easement further to the south of the proposed 2.5 acre land and adjacent to what is already zoned RR 2.5 land. It should be noted that the applicant has proposed a transition, which is depicted on the final plat via the lot sizes. So we have 4.29 acre lot adjacent to the Stepler Road to transition from the RR5 zoning across Stepler Road. And then on the southern portion of the property, we go from roughly 4.29 acres. There's a little detention tract to preserve the natural features. And then we transition to like a 3.29 and down to 2.5 as we get away and west of that conservation easement. But all lots meeting the RR 2.5 requirements. Does that answer your question, sir?
It does. Thank you very much. Thanks for indulging me. Any other, Mr. Markowitz?
Could you just give me a quick definition of the conservation easement and how that's different? Is that different than a normal RR5? What?
Sir, actually, I cannot provide that specific information because staff does not have that conservation easement because it is not a part of this application. I do not know what the conservation easement entails. It's not included in this application.
Ms. Sego is going to come
I
to our.
mean, maybe just in general, and I mean, I guess I'm relatively new. I haven't seen a grazing easement or conservation. I just would like a definition, explanation.
So Lori Segal, County Attorney's Office, as Ms. Parsons said, we don't have the specifics of this conservation easement. I can speak to what a conservation easement is in general, if that would be helpful. And basically, it's a restrictive easement placed on undeveloped property, and that easement is granted to usually a nonprofit or a governmental entity who is then responsible for enforcing the easement. The purpose of the easement is to protect natural features or conservation values, and basically it restricts development of the property to whatever is defined in that conservation easement. It's a private agreement between the property owner and whoever holds the easement, so it's not something that would involve the county unless the county is the easement holder. But in general, their purpose is to restrict development in order to protect conservation values in the property.
So, for example, an environmental group could team up with the person that owns the property. It's a single family grazing, and they could team up together to help preserve the land.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Fuller?
What is, with the PUD, sorry, what is actually approved at this? Is this a big change from what was planned with the PUD that's already approved?
The PUD in the northern portion, which is proposed to be RR 2.5, had lots ranging from 2.5 up to 4 acres. So this would actually allow additional lots. So we're going to get, they're proposing 9 lots where they only, I think they had 5 lots. It was 10 to add 6, sorry. So we're going for an additional 6 lots with these.
Okay. Thank you. Is there, again, anyone in the audience who's here to speak on that? I don't think we saw anyone. So, given that this is all pretty clear to the commissioners, I will entertain a motion on file number 3B or file P2223. Mr. Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding agenda item 3B, file number P2223 for map amendment rezoning of Settlers Ranch, RR 2.5 rezone. I move for approval in accordance with the attached resolution with one condition and two notations, with the finding of water sufficiency not required, and that this item be forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners for their consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
Second.
Ms. Fuller with the second. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none. Call the roll. Mr. Markowitz.
Aye.
Mr. Carlson.
Aye.
Ms. Fuller.
Aye.
Ms. Jack.
Aye.
Mr. Whitney.
Aye.
And the chair also votes aye, so we'll recommend this to the Board of County Commissioners for their approval. The related item is file number SF249. This is the final plat for Settlers Ranch, filing number 3. I think we've addressed all the questions that we have, so I will entertain a motion there too. Ms. Fuller.
Mr. Chair, with regards to agenda item 3C, file SF 249, for a final plat, Settlers Ranch filing number 3, I move for approval in accordance with the attached resolution with 9 conditions, 4 notations, and a recommendation of finding for sufficiency with regard to water quality, quantity, and dependability, and that this item be forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners for their consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Jack, thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Markowitz. Calling for the vote, sorry.
Aye.
Mr. Carlson.
Aye.
Ms. Fuller.
Aye.
Ms. Jack.
Aye.
Mr. Whitney.
Aye.
And the chair also votes aye. We will again recommend this to the Board of County Commissioners for their approval. And next time when I call on you, I expect some discussion. Just generate some discussion and we'll go from there. Okay, thank you. Moving on. We have agenda item 3D, which is a file number PUD-SP 229, the planned unit development and preliminary plan for Waterside. Do any members of the commission have questions for staff? Is there anyone in the audience other than the applicant who's here for this item? Don't see anyone there either. Okay, someone online, we have a question or somebody to comment on this, correct?
I believe Blake will call them in now.
Okay, we will hold for comment to get a sense for what the issue is and see if we need to have a full hearing on this item or just keep it on the consent calendar.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Hello, you're speaking to the. Hello, you're speaking to the El Paso County Planning Commission. You have a comment on the planned unit development for Waterside.
I don't have a comment. I was hoping to listen in. I totally forgot. Let's see.
Okay, well, you're listening in. Thank you for your interest, and we will then continue on.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Whitney.
I do have one sort of housekeeping question for Ms. Seago, so I'm sure I understand how this gets administered if something doesn't happen. So I note that your recommendation, as I recall, is for a finding of conditional sufficiency based on the applicant entering into a supplemental letter with the, what happens, I assume if such a letter is never signed, what happens to the project?
In this particular instance, because this is based on a contingency that was contained in the commitment letter from Woodmore Water and Sanitation. The way the condition is written is it says that prior to recording the final plat, the applicant must provide proof that it's entered into an approved supplemental water service agreement with the district. So the way I would anticipate this being administered is that between my office and the planner, once the final plat application is submitted, or it may already be in process, it won't be recorded until we have proof of that agreement.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess one other question related to that, and looking at the conditions and notations for this in our packet, I see there's a finding of sufficiency of water quantity, dependability, quality, et cetera. Would that be a finding of a conditional finding, or would that be a flat finding?
It would be my request that it be a finding of conditional sufficiency.
Okay,
Or a
thank
conditional
you.
finding.
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. That serves as the reminder to whoever might make a motion. And make sure we insert that conditional word in there, please. Somebody's got that. Okay, one last time. I don't see any questions from the commissioners. Anyone here in the audience that is here to speak on this item or anything? Okay, I'm trying not to break the record for the fastest meeting that we've ever had, but seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Ms. Fuller.
Mr. Chair, with regards to agenda item 3D, PUD SP 229, a planned unit development and preliminary plan for Waterside, I move for approval in accordance with the attached resolution with 6 conditions, 5 notations, and a conditional finding of sufficiency with regard to water quality, quantity, and dependability, and that this item be forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners for their consideration.
Thank you. That was well done.
Second?
Mr. Whitney, thank you. Any last minute discussion? No? Mr. Markowitz? I'm calling again for the roll. Sorry.
Aye.
Mr. Carlson?
Aye.
Ms. Fuller?
Aye.
Ms. Jack?
Aye.
And Mr. Whitney? Aye. Chair will also vote aye, so we will recommend that file number PUD SP 229 will be recommended for approval to the Board of County Commissioners. That is the end of our agenda today. I will go back to Planning Department staff. Any last words for us?
Star, Mr. Chair.
See, when Ms. Fuller comes back, things run like clockwork. So there we are. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I trust that everyone here has felt that they've been heard or had an opportunity to be, and see an awful lot of people here for nobody to talk. So thank you very much. We're adjourned for today, and we'll see you all on November 7th.
Unknown participant is now exiting.